you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Rausch will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. This is Nikki Rausch. I'm your host. I'm your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversations. Today's episode is an on-air coaching call with the ever-brilliant Allison Flinn. She is amazing. I'm super excited for you to meet her and to learn about her business and what she does. And then we'll see how I can serve her today. So Allison, welcome to the show, friend.
Thanks, Nikki.
I'm so glad you said yes. Tell everybody a little bit about you and your business.
My business is Reclaim Professional Organizing. We are an in-home organizing service based in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we work with clients primarily to organize the rooms in their home, help them edit their belongings so that they're only keeping what they need and use, and then making it really beautiful.
And this is like so powerful. I actually did hire an organizer before I did the big move, cross-state move. And it was a game changer. It was so awesome to have somebody come in and help me purge, let go of things, organize things. And it really did. I mean, it made a huge difference to, I think, just overall, what I paid the movers, because they do it by weight, to be able to get rid of that stuff. So how long have you been doing this? Because I feel and what's your team size? Tell us a little bit about that stuff.
I've had this business for 11 years, and Right now I have a team of 6 employees, and that is 4 organizers, hoping to add more soon, and then an admin person, and then a person in charge of marketing.
And I feel like your business is just really grown over the last couple of years that I've got to know you. It feels like you guys have exploded. Is that true? Or is that?
Yes, it has. Yes.
I feel like it has. Yeah. So doing so many good things. All right. So is there a particular client that you specialize in, or is there a particular, is it when people are downsizing? Is it when they're moving? Is it yes, everything in between, or what is it?
Yes, we do get a lot of calls from people moving, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
They are looking to edit their belongings and then have their home unpacked once they move in. So we do a lot of unpacking. That's unpacking every single box, putting everything in its perfect location, perfectly organized, getting the right bins, labeling them so that way they're off to a nice organized start. Primarily, it's busy families, busy with work, with kids, just feeling overwhelmed. And recently, we just had a woman contact us who considered herself pretty organized. And her feedback was, wow, I didn't actually know it would feel this great, or my house could be this organized.
Ooh.
And so that was huge, just knowing that people that consider themselves organized are still seeing the value in what we provide, because a lot of times it's lack of time. We come in with a big team for an unpacking job. It's usually a team of 4 or 5. And so what we can do in a day, no one could possibly do that on their own. It would take months, and getting a babysitter and just really having to focus. It's just too much work for one person to do. And also our product knowledge is really extensive. So when we do a pantry, oftentimes for an unpack, we're able to source the product ahead of time. And after day 1, they have that picture perfect pantry.
So let's talk about the product piece a little bit and how that works, because I have the great pleasure of having clients that are in your space, and product, it seems like product is the thing that comes up a lot in our discussion of how do you lay it out for the client? And so how does that work in your business with the products and helping people? Because I will say, for me, I would have no idea what product would be the best product that would help me stay organized, would look beautiful, all of that, the Pinterest look, I guess. Do you hate when people say that, by the way? Like, I want the Pinterest look for my pantry.
No, that's a dream to hear. So yes, so oftentimes we do an in-home consult. And so we'll measure all the spaces, take photos, get an accurate inventory of their stuff, and then talk to them about their aesthetic preference. Do they prefer clear? Do they prefer baskets? A combination of both. We have a portfolio, and I'm talking about pantry specifically because that seems to be the big thing. Also master closets, but getting an idea of what will work for them, because some people will say, if I can't see it, it's like it's not there. And that's when we're like, okay, we're going to do all clear bins. Or some people will say, you know what, it's a little overwhelming if we do all clear. So we get to know how their mind works and what they prefer, and then we piece it all together. And the biggest thing is measuring the space.
Yeah.
And also a lot of products we use, I'm not sure if you have a Container Store where you live.
We don't. I'm so bummed though.
I know, maybe one day. But a big thing we do, a lot of pantries, for example, will use baskets that are found in the closet section. And most people aren't going to think like that. They're going to go to the Container Store, or even if it's online or Amazon, they're going to search, closet baskets or whatever it might be. And they're not going to find probably the best product. So, and this just comes from years and years of experience and being really passionate about it, and just being able to provide people with this picture perfect space that they didn't even know was possible. And we do get a lot of clients from Instagram. So they've seen our work, which is great, but still it's hard for them to wrap their heads around that, hey, this could be mine.
Yes.
Something I wanted to talk with you about today is that, so we get a fair amount of leads, and thanks to you, I think we've really streamlined the process and making it as easy as possible to get in touch with us. So unfortunately, we don't have a receptionist who can answer the phone all day, but I do have an online scheduler on my website. So when someone goes to the contact page, they can easily see when they can get a call with me. And oftentimes it's same day or the next day. So people will schedule a call, and I know you and I have talked about this before, and I've had some major wins, but still I feel like I can always improve. But it's that initial phone call from the person who has never used an organizer before. They've heard about it from a friend or seen a TV show, and they like the idea of being organized, but they really have no idea what's involved, how much it costs, how long it takes. And so it's educating them in that brief 15 minutes that I sometimes struggle with. And then also getting all the information from them, because oftentimes they just want to talk and talk and talk, which is great. I'm capturing all that information, and then I want to tell them what we do. And usually I get to that part, but I leave out the part talking about what makes us different, the value we're providing, where I'm more focusing on the process, which they still need to know. But I think sometimes I just skip over this is what makes us different, that kind of stuff, because I'm just so excited to tell them what we do. And then sometimes I get the in-home consult. Sometimes I'm able to sell them over the phone, and sometimes nothing happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I know that we have worked on some of this language. And so if I'm just repeating stuff that you're like, yeah, I got that, tell me, and we'll move on to the next thing. There's the thing that I'm wondering, when they get on the call with you, are you pre-framing at the beginning of every call?
How I start the call, I recap what is in their contact form. So when they schedule that call online, there's information that's asked of them. What are you looking to organize? What is your timeline? What is your budget? So often I will start by saying, I see that you are interested in organizing your master closet. Can you tell me a little bit about that? So I do bring up, what they had put in the original contact form, and that gets the conversation going. And most of the time they just talk and talk and talk.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Okay. So I feel like you're missing the pre-frame, just right off the bat, because you're kind of already diving in and you're not setting the stage for what's going to happen. So the pre-frame that I would encourage you to put in place is, thank you so much for taking this time to chat with me. I have your intake form that you filled out here. we're scheduled to chat for about 15 minutes. And the objective is to find out a little bit more about your project, tell you a little bit about our company and what differentiates us from, your traditional organizer, and see if it's a good fit, and then talk about next steps of ways we might work together. Is it okay if I start with a couple quick questions? That's the pre-frame. Okay, you've got to establish how much time, what's going to happen, because they might be thinking like, oh, well, I can talk for days and days because I have all the time in the world because they don't have anything else. But when you say we're scheduled to talk for about 15 minutes or whatever that is, you just put some parameters around it. And I think that it won't work for everybody, but it is going to help people be a little bit more succinct because now they know like the timer's on. Okay. And then you could say, now based on your intake form, you mentioned that you're looking to organize the master bedroom. Tell me a little bit, like, a sentence or two. What would that look like for you? Or whatever it is that you really need to know. Make sure you're not just giving them free rein to be like, hey, tell me the whole story of your house and all the reasons why you don't think you're a good organizer and why you need to hire an organizer. Because that's like, you're getting into the weeds then. Okay.
All
right. So make sure you're doing the pre-frame and then structure the question so that it isn't like an open-ended, like talk forever type question. Like, in a sentence or two, tell me, what is the space that what are you most looking to accomplish? Like, what's the number one thing you're looking to accomplish? That's another way to frame it is what's the number one thing you're looking to accomplish? Or what are the three main things? Versus like, tell me what you're looking to accomplish is so open-ended that I could have a laundry list of 11 things, and that would eat up all the 15 minutes. And then, so you say, great, I have a sense here of, what it is that you're looking for. Is it okay if I tell you a little bit about what differentiates us? And then if it makes sense, then we can talk about ways to work together. Because I do want you to work in the what differentiates us or what sets us apart from the traditional organizer. And then really that's the place where don't be shy, don't be humble, really stand in your place of credibility and authority and say, what differentiates you? What is what I mean here is be really careful about here's all the things we don't do. No, I want you to say, here's all the things that we do that make us unique in this marketplace. So say the things that you do and focus on those things versus the things that you don't. Now you can work in a few of we do this, which means you don't have to worry about that. That's okay. But a lot of times when people want to say how they're different is they spend too much time talking about what they don't do. I feel like real estate agents are super guilty of this. They'll say I'm in real estate, but I don't do this and I don't do that. I'm unique because I'm not your traditional real estate agent. It's okay, but you never actually told me what you do. So in my brain, all I'm thinking of is all the things you don't do. So I want you making sure you're focusing on what do you do? And then say, so based on that, would you be interested in hearing about next steps for us for working together? They're going to say yes. And then you lay out your offer, or you lay out here's how we work for a master bedroom and a I don't know. Do you even say master bedroom now? I always feel can we even say that anymore? I feel like we're supposed to say primary bedroom or ensuite, so here's what we would do for your ensuite and include the bathroom in there. I don't know how they'd say that now.
Well, that leads me to, so I do them how we are different. Then I walk them through the process because a lot of them have no idea. It's on our website, but not everybody reads it.
Yeah.
So I tell them about us, the process. And then usually my next question is, did you have a budget in mind? I don't know if that's the right next question to ask. It is a question on my intake form. Most people do not put a dollar amount. They'll say, I have no idea what it costs, or no. Hardly anybody ever puts a dollar amount. So
can I jump in right here?
Of course.
Okay. it may make sense for you on your intake form to pre-frame the typical organizing of a space like a pantry might run between X and Z. For a bedroom might run between X and Z. Which budget category or what have you budgeted for your project? And then you give categories. And the lowest category would be like whatever a starting price would be for you. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if you're comfortable saying on air, but like, what would a starting price be?
Well, that's something, and I know you and I've talked about this, that I struggle with is that no two spaces are the same.
Yes.
And I do ask my intake form for people to send photos, which I know is an added step for them, which most of them do not take. But when I do get the photos, it is so helpful. So, because a lot of times people actually explain it to be much worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they don't. And so that is super helpful. So there is a pantry can sometimes take 5 hours with a team of 2, or it can take 2 hours with a team of 2. So I do have on my website, and I do talk to them about what affects the price, the amount of stuff in the space, how much is staying versus going, and how quick they are to make decisions. So I talk through that with them. And so I would love, in a perfect world, I could get them to send me photos, and then I could give them that initial estimate on the phone, and they would book an appointment.
Okay.
But oftentimes what happens is it leads to an in-home assessment, especially if it's several rooms, because then I get to see it firsthand. And while it's, more of my time, it is time that I charge for, but also I found that we connect on a different level because we meet in person. And usually if they wanted just their bedroom and bathroom done, once I get in their house, it's like, well, actually, can you look at my playroom? Can you look at my kitchen? So that's also something that I'm open to, because often it leads to more business. And I've also found that it opens up the conversation about cost. So if I give them a quote while we're there and they're like, whoa, that's a little more than I wanted to spend, it allows us to have a conversation where we can kind of meet in the middle. Okay, maybe we can't do all 5 spaces right now, but what would your top 2 priorities be? Okay, well, my estimate for that is X number of dollars. And that seems to work really well, but I would really love to close more on the phone. I really would.
So one of the ways that you could do that then is in the intake form, you could say, in order for pricing to be quoted in the initial conversation, please provide pictures and fill out these additional questions. Like maybe it's that, because now we're prepping them that if they don't supply pictures and they don't answer these additional questions, then you can say, now, in order for me to complete a scope of work for you or to give you a more accurate price estimate, you can either, walk me through the house, we can FaceTime or however you do that, or you can have me come on site and I'll actually walk the room. There is a fee for that. The advantage though, is that I'm going to be giving you tips and suggestions during that time. So there's value in it, regardless of whether you decide to move forward. But then I can really give you a more accurate estimate of the project. I can give you actual numbers for the project. Which would you prefer? Because now it's like, do you want to send me the pictures or show me the space, or do you want to hire me to come on site? Now, if your only option, like if you know in your heart of hearts that you coming on site is the way to do it based on everything you just said to me, then I would probably position it to the client that the way that we work is we do an on-site assessment. And in this assessment, here's all the great things that are included. And there is a fee for that. Now, the other option is that you book have another option for them, that you book a chunk of hours and that gets the project started. And know that with that, there's no guarantee about how far we'll get in the project because we don't know until we show up what we're like coming into. So of those two options, which would you prefer? Okay, so we've given them kind of two options. We've given them the option of doing the assessment, which sounds like this is the better way for you. Like you're getting a more accurate quote to them. You know how much of your team's time and how many team members to send. But you also said you really do want to just close over the phone. So what would that look like? Like what would we need to have in order for you to feel confident that you could just close that deal over the phone?
Well, the funny thing is I feel more confident in closing it over the phone when it's geographically undesirable for me. So if they live 45 minutes away,
okay,
somehow that's easier for me to sell them over the phone than if they live 15 minutes down the street. That might sound crazy. I don't know, but.
Well, let me ask you some questions about that.
Yes.
Is it because you're like, I'm only going to get in my car and go if they're willing to pay this amount? But if it's 15 minutes, you're like, it's only 15 minutes. I guess I could go either way. Like, is that the attitude? Okay.
I'm not sure. Cause I charge the same. I think it's a time thing in that I have limited time. And because I will say, I don't do a lot of the organizing now. My team does, and they're really good at getting more appointments on the calendar.
Yeah.
So I could maybe just stop doing the in-home assessments altogether, or at least try it, and book the team for like the top 1 or 2 priority spaces for an appointment, and then just have them keep on booking.
I mean, it sounds like you're confident that your team is able to book the next appointment once they're on site. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So we just got to get the team on site.
Yes. And
they'll take it from there.
The one hurdle with that is that if somebody wants their whole house organized, that will take several days. And if I just get them to book one appointment, they might not be able to be seen for another like 2 to 3 weeks, which is why I'm trying to hire more people right now. So that way that doesn't happen. Yeah. Because if they're ready to go, I want to take advantage of that, especially if it's a time sensitive situation where they're getting ready to move.
Yeah.
I want to, like, we had a woman not long ago who contacted us a week before she was going to give birth. She was ready then. She needed it done. So I brought in a full team for a day and just knocked it out. So because you had the capacity to do that, or did that throw your schedule in like? No, we had the capacity to do that, but it was a job I typically wouldn't have crammed into a day. But we were able to make it work.
Okay. So I think maybe some of this is you coming up with some guidelines of what's a make it work situation and what's a, we can do that for you and we're available 2 weeks from now, and being okay either way. Okay. Like as a business owner, you get to decide if you're going to make an exception, but maybe for you to have some kind of structure is when you're talking to somebody, you say, we typically are booking a week or 2 out or whatever that is. So we're pre-framing that too for them. Like, we're typically booking, 2 weeks in advance. Would you like to go ahead and get that on the schedule now? Now, if they're like, what? My wife's having a baby next week. Is there any chance that we can get in? Then you can look at your calendar and say, in this particular instance, I could get a team in there and we could complete this in the day. And here's the fee to do that. Is that something you'd like to do? Because sometimes the answer might be, I'll wait the 2 weeks. Right.
Yes. And I did want to say another reason I know you and I have talked about this, that I prefer to do the phone consults is that it takes me out of the organizing equation. So that way, if that person has never met me and the team shows up, that's reclaim. Yes. It's not, and because I do think it's rare in a lot of service-based industries for the owner to be doing the consultations. And I will happily take that off my plate when the time when it feels right.
Yes.
So it removes me from that equation, and then it gives that team lead ownership over the project. They're the face of the team. And when it comes time, we offer we call it refresh, but basically maintenance services. So if we've organized someone's house, they might ask us to come back in 6 months and like refresh their closet or their pantry. And so I give the lead full responsibility to follow up in 6 months, get them on the calendar, check in with them. So that way they have that relationship. And I think it's more authentic than when the owner of the company is sending an email, hey, you ready to book again? It's much more authentic for the people they know to be in there. But I know sometimes when I'm doing a consultation, it happens rarely. And I know it's more me inside my own head. But sometimes they might say, oh, you're not coming. And what I really want to say is you're in much better hands, because me as the business owner has so much going on. But when you have this team here, their sole responsibility is this project. There's not all this other stuff.
Okay. So maybe having some language around that to like give yourself this peace of mind. Cause like you're saying, it's not happening often. When it happens, I think I would step into this place of saying, my objective is always to make sure that you are taken care of at the highest level. And we already know that the way that happens is by having the team come on site and do this, which when they're on site, their full focus is you. And there's never a time where me as the owner can give my full focus to just a client job, because I'm managing and juggling these other things. So in order to serve you at the highest level, that's why you're going to get a team that is 100% focused on you and your space. And this is why we get the testimonials and the referrals that we do, is because our clients know that we have their best interest at heart. That's how I would frame it. And really stand in your credibility when you say it, of like, this is true.
And one thing I found since setting up the online calendar feature, before people would send an email, it would still be a form, and I would get it, and I would either pick up the phone and call them, or I would email them back. But a lot of times they don't even know that they're talking to the owner of the company. Unless they've thoroughly read my website, they don't know. But it took me a while to realize that, because I know I'm the owner, but they don't know that.
Do you want them to know it?
I don't think it matters, really.
Okay.
I mean, once again, kind of going back to the love for there to be a time when I could have somebody whose job was to do these calls. That would be wonderful.
I think what I'm hearing here is that you are primed to have somebody take over these calls for you. Like you are primed for this already, because like you're saying, they're not even realizing that they're speaking to the owner, and not taking anything away from what you bring to the conversation. If you could train somebody to have these consultation calls at like 80% to as good as Allison does it, you would be better off bringing somebody in to do that, so that you could go focus on other areas of the business that are going to continue to generate more revenue for you. Right?
Sounds great.
Yeah. So now it's just finding the person, because people don't even know they're talking to the owner now. So let's just find somebody who gives really good phone, right? Like that's really what you need, is somebody who is so good on the phone and who is confident and can speak from a place of credibility about your business. Like you don't need somebody to have your knowledge. You just need somebody to understand what are the questions, what's the information that they need to supply, and can they do it all while building rapport? Then you've got somebody who can do these consults for you.
Sounds good.
Okay. So I think really what we're taking away here, you tell me, is that it's time for you to start looking for that person.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we have some great resources inside the Sales Maven Society if you need somebody who can help you, find your next team member for sure. So I'm feeling like, Allison, you're ready for that.
I would love that. Thank you.
All right. So as we wrap up today, I want to remind you that we started off of making sure that you are actually getting that pre-frame out of your mouth at the very beginning of the call when you're doing these calls, and that you train your next person to do that too. It's going to help kind of keep a structure around the amount of time. So hopefully, and by the questions that you ask, it's going to keep from getting into these big, long storytelling sessions of people wanting to tell you their life story. Okay. So cut down on the amount of time. Okay. All right. So I always wrap up with 2 questions. The first one is, what's one benefit you've received from being in the Sales Maven Society?
What I love about the Sales Maven Society, and I think I've been a member for over 3 years now.
I think you are in the 3-year mark.
And is, first of all, you're always very quick to respond, which I really appreciate. There was a situation recently where a client had told me she was going in a different direction, and I wanted to know why, but I was a little scared. And I put it in the Sales Maven Society. Within a matter of minutes, you said, here's your edited script. Here you go. And it allowed me to write her back in a timely fashion. So there isn't this day-long, lapse of time before I ask what direction she went in. And so I was able to get back to her quickly. And then she basically told me she went with the lowest priced organizer she could find. And that made me feel a lot better because that was not us, and we can't compete with that. So I think how responsive you are, because I've been in a couple other groups where I find that people who are in charge of the group don't actually really participate. And it's more, and I love the community and how everybody gets involved, but the information you provide is super valuable.
Thank you. Thank you. I love having you in the group. And I love that you've been in there for 3 years, and that it's been fun to watch this transformation in your business. I feel like you've made huge strides. Your business has grown. You still have, I think, one of the most beautiful websites of any organizer I've ever seen. It's so gorgeous. And you're putting out really quality stuff. So connect with Allison. So here's my other question is, how can people get a hold of you if they're in your area and they know I need an organizer, or maybe they want to be an organizer, or maybe they want to come help you with your consultation calls and do that for you. How can people get a hold of you?
So my website is reclaimnc.com, and all my information's on there. And I would encourage people to go to our Instagram page, Reclaim Professional Organizing, because that's where we post all of our work. And I love that you pointed out if people want to be organizers, because recently I have gotten a lot of interest from people. We do have documents for sale for people who are interested in setting up an organizing business. And I also offer mentoring, which I love. I love sharing knowledge and information so people can not make the same mistakes I did. So that information's on the website too.
You are a wealth of information. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for being in the group. I adore you, and I'm in awe of what you've built as far as your business. It's amazing. So, all right. Thanks for being here. Okay. For you, the listener, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that 2021 for me is the year of the question. It's all about starting conversation and having conversation, and conversation starts through questions. So here's another question for you to put in your back pocket today to have at the ready for when it's appropriate in your sales conversations. And it's this question: have you already thought about when you'd like to get started? Now, there's some implied language in here, which is we're going to get started, and it's just when. So have you already thought about when you'd like to get started? Now, when you ask that question, the next thing you do is you zip it and you wait and you let them answer. Now, for some additional training around these types of questions and how to use them and when to use them, that all happens in the Sales Maven Society. So if you're not yet a member, come join us. It really is the best place for you to connect with me, connect with the group, really hone your selling skills. There is training in there. There's live calls with me. There's the Facebook group where you can post questions and I'm going to give you answers and direction. And you can do that by going to salesmavensociety.com If you enter the coupon code I'm going to give you right now, which is 47 trial, it's going to get you your first month for only $47. Normally the group is $147 a month. So it's going to save you $100 on your first month. You can come in as a trial. There's no long-term commitment. You can cancel at any time. You get to hang out with me. You get to hang out with really cool, amazing business owners like Allison. Come join us and check us out. We'd love to have you. If we haven't connected yet on social media, let's do that. I'd love to follow you. If you want to connect and reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram under Sales Maven. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Nikki Rausch. I'd love to hear from you as a listener. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I appreciate your time and continue to connect with you, or the opportunity to connect with you. So I will see you next time. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Allison.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.